Hello and welcome to the Cook Memorial Public Library podcast, where we invite you to spend a few minutes with the staff at Cook Library. I'm Nate Goss, librarian at Cook, and I'm here with Becky King, Cook Memorial's very knowledgeable AV librarian. Becky curates and cares for the library's movie, music, and audiobook collections, so it seemed only right that we should have her on the podcast to talk about the movies of 2015 and Hollywood's biggest night. The 88th Annual Academy Awards were televised last night, and both of us stayed up past our bedtimes to catch all 3+ hours of the show. We're still a little groggy, but why don't we start with our initial reactions? Becky, what'd you think of the show?
You know what? I always love it. I thought Chris Rock did an amazing job under the circumstances, so gracious in his handling of a topic that was pretty tough this year with the Oscars so white. And, you know, funny, on point, and he kind of evened it out a little bit. He poked a little bit of fun at Will Smith on one side and then, you know, Hollywood elite on the other side. So I thought, well done.
I agree. I thought he handled it great.
Yeah.
And the lighter stuff, too. You know, he had that bit with the Girl Scout cookies, and he had his daughters come out. And
that was pretty cute.
It was, and supposedly raised, $65,000
I know. I wonder if that's
for the
true.
troop.
Can you imagine? Yeah, the best funded troop in the country.
Yeah. Before the show, what did you think of, you know, the movies of 2015? Maybe I should make it a little simpler. Did you have a favorite of the year?
You know what? I'm proud of myself this year because I did see most of the Best Picture nominees. I did have some favorites. I didn't see, unfortunately, The Revenant or Mad Max, which ended up winning a lot of the awards, but I saw almost all of the other ones. I really liked Spotlight. I thought that was a great choice, and it ended up winning Best Picture. Loved it. Thought it was really important and great ensemble cast. That was one of my favorites of the year. Also really liked Brooklyn, and to me that was a real Hollywood-type movie. And Room, I thought, was really well done, really moving and incredibly well acted. So those are my favorites going into the year, and I think they were well rewarded. So.
Yeah. I think that if I had to say anything about the awards as far as the actual, who won, I feel like even more than most years, it seemed like they got it kind of right this year.
Yeah. Not too many surprises.
I know, Spotlight was my favorite of the year. It was kind of right up there with Ex Machina, which I didn't think was going to get much, but it even did. It got the Visual Design Award, which I didn't see coming at all. You know, and I did see Mad Max, and I think it deserved every single one of those technical awards.
I know you said you loved it when you saw it.
Yeah.
So that was way back when, because that was an earlier release.
Such a fun movie, and just even as far as action movies go, it's set a new bar, I think, as far as George Miller just knocked it out of the park with this one.
That's what's amazing, though. So it won all these, technical awards, all that kind of stuff, and then the director gets overlooked. I mean, tough competition this year. That's just what it says. So
speaking of that, one thing I thought was kind of interesting was that they started the awards show by saying, we're going to announce the awards in the order of how a movie is made. And they kind of started that with the Screenplay Awards.
Yeah.
And then they kind of threw that out the window because the director was then at the very end of the movie.
I know.
So, what was the director kind of a last minute?
Did that, wouldn't the producer, wouldn't Best Picture be first because they're the ones that start the whole ball? Yeah.
I just don't even know why they said that.
I know. And that kind of, usually you have those supporting actor awards right away in the evening to kind of whet the appetite and stuff like that. And those occurred a little bit later last night, so we were kind of waiting for something to happen.
Right.
So I don't know.
So it's a good thing you had a host like Chris Rock who could kind of keep the momentum
Move it
going.
Along, funny. Yeah, and when he was not on stage, it tended to lose a little oxygen, I think. So it was really good to see him whenever he came out.
And I think another thing everyone's kind of talking about is Leo finally got his award.
Yay, yeah. I think Leo was overdue. I think Leo knew he was going to win.
Well,
And I didn't see that movie, but I mean, everyone raves.
Yeah, that's another one that I saw.
He was overdue.
So I think we probably complement each other as far as I saw the stuff you didn't see and you saw a lot that I didn't. And Revenant was, like I said, I think the awards were handed out well because I thought Spotlight was probably the best picture. But Iñárritu getting Best Director, I mean, some of the direction in that movie is, he's doing some very adventurous stuff with it and doing some stuff that, it's got a lot of flair to it. It's the kind of stuff that does draw attention to the director.
Right, yeah, and fairly young guy. I mean, hugely talented.
Yeah, and winning 2 consecutive Best Director
everybody was
awards.
making such a big fuss about that, which they need to. That was pretty amazing. But the cinematographer on the film won his 3rd in a row.
Amazing.
I mean, that is truly amazing.
Yeah.
So it was Revenant, Birdman, and Gravity, right, the year before.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's a guy who works a lot with Terrence Malick. So, I mean, everything anytime he touches
He's
a
gold.
camera, it's just completely gorgeous. Yeah.
So everybody bids for his services.
Yeah, and as far as Leonardo DiCaprio's performance, I mean, he's got to pretty much hold that entire movie together. I also happen to think that it wouldn't be nearly as good without the amazing performance of Tom Hardy as well. But if Leonardo DiCaprio isn't convincing as playing someone who was just attacked by a bear, nothing works with that movie.
Yeah.
So. We also had some musical performances. I thought Lady Gaga's was my favorite.
That was
of all
pretty
of them.
powerful.
Yeah.
I think she was kind of the favorite going in. It was really a powerful moment on stage, but I like Sam Smith. I was happy to see him win too. He was a good guy. What did you think about the Best Actress nominees and winners?
Well, Brie Larson was Best Actress. I didn't see Room. You did. Do you want to speak on that a little bit?
You know what? She was wonderful, really wonderful, and kind of almost, you think about the small cast, if you want to call it that, or the lead, the reliance on the lead in The Revenant. She was it in Room, and she had the little, boy with her who was amazing also. I mean, seriously, if he could have been nominated. He was that good. But yeah, she carried that film too. So very deserving. I was glad to see her win. I was lucky enough to see several of those, the pictures that included the Best Actress nominees. I was actually happy to see Charlotte Rampling nominated for a small film called 45 Years.
I've been wanting to see that one so bad. So you've seen it.
I did. It's, definitely a smaller film, really intimate film. Not a lot happens, not a huge plot. Just an older couple getting ready to celebrate their 45th anniversary, and they get a piece of news at the beginning of the film that kind of affects the week leading up to this anniversary party. And she's always good. She's just always good. And, the acting in it was minimal, but just every emotion was on her face. So I was happy to see her nominated.
So Charlotte Rampling is someone who she must be a character actress, because I just really don't feel like I would know that name from much else. Do you know what else she's been in, or something you can
British
recommend? Or?
Films.
Okay.
A lot of British films and TV. Recently, she was in the series Broadchurch.
Oh,
she
okay.
played in the second season of that. I think American audiences probably know her best from, remember the movie The Verdict with Paul Newman? So she's been in a lot of things over the years. Georgie Girl going way back. I mean, she's older. So yeah, check it out if you have a chance. It's not out yet on DVD, but it will be.
Okay.
And we'll definitely be getting it. So.
Great. And we probably have a lot of the movies that you just mentioned that she's been in.
Yeah.
One of the surprises I thought of the night was the supporting actor, Mark
Rylance. Yeah.
Mark Rylance.
Yeah.
I didn't see Bridge of Spies. That's
I did.
That's actually the big hole in my watching for the last year. And he's also an actor another one, I don't really know if I've seen much with him in it.
You know what? He is another guy. Well, always good. Classically trained British actor. He's been in, all kinds of classic stage production in England. He does a lot of Broadway in the U.S. I actually saw him in a really broad comedy in New York. And he was amazing in that. He won the Tony. And then his role, and normally he does heavy drama.
Okay.
Recently we saw him in Wolf Hall on PBS.
Oh, you know what?
So, yeah.
I have it at home right now.
Right.
I need to watch it. Yeah.
So he's in a lot, does a lot, always good. I was happy to see him win. I was kind of rooting for him because I think everybody thought Sylvester Stallone was kind of the sentimental favorite. But in Bridge of Spies, he plays the captured Russian spy. And just like quiet dignity, really quiet humor. He gets little one-liners in there and stuff like that. But you really root for the guy. I mean, should you really feel like you should be rooting for a Russian spy?
There's a lot of complexity there.
Yeah, you want him to get home okay.
It's nice when they actually reward some of the more subtle performances, or some of the things that aren't shouting at you the whole time.
Exactly. Yeah, very understated but incredibly well done. And again, I think when you talk about career awards and stuff like that, even with Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Rylance has put in a lot of performances over the years.
He's paid his dues.
Yeah, he has for sure.
I think just a lot of even the other awards seem to be rewarded as I probably predicted they would be, but rightfully so. I mean, I thought Spotlight deserved Best Screenplay.
Yeah.
I thought adapted screenplay, Big Short, just made sense. Did you see Big Short?
I haven't. It's on my list.
To be able to adapt a Michael Lewis
that wasn't even
nonfiction,
that big a book.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty slim.
And was also complicated.
Right.
I mean, and there's some really brilliant choices from Adam McKay in the script of how you explain these very complicated
and
ideas
clever.
of Wall Street. Yeah, it's very clever.
And well cast.
Exactly. So that made sense. I think Inside Out was probably another shoe-in for animated feature, but also rightfully so.
Right.
I mean, I'd have to say
and a feel-good movie too.
One thing that I don't think worked very well in the awards show, and they have to admit it, is the whole scrolling names underneath.
That was an experiment this year.
To hopefully get people to talk and not spend all their time just listing off thank yous.
Yeah.
And most people still got up there and listed thank yous, but when Inside Out, when they won their award and Pete Docter went up there as the director, I think he actually took advantage of that he didn't thank very many people, but he gave this really good speech I liked about how, if you're a middle schooler or high schooler going through, all the different emotions that are in there, the joy, the sadness, he basically said there's not much you can do about that but make stuff, create something, paint, write music. I thought that was just I love that. And I guess Leonardo DiCaprio kind of did that too with the climate change thing. I think that's probably what they were wanting more of. But, I think we should probably just accept the fact that the speeches are going to be the speeches, and that's what they're going to be. It's just a lot of thank yous of people we don't know.
It was almost a distraction for, obviously it's not mattering to the people in the audience, but it was almost a distraction for viewers, because you kind of look at that like they would mean anything to you. They don't, obviously, but you're still waiting for them to speak.
I'm actually a huge documentary fan, so I like to pay attention to that category. Amy was what won for documentary. I had actually just caught up with that, about a week ago, and boy, that was way more powerful than I ever thought a documentary on Amy Winehouse would be. I kind of left a little unsettled, actually. I mean, to the movie's credit.
Yeah, a good thing.
But I was really rooting for The Look of Silence, which was Oppenheimer's sequel to The Act of Killing.
Was that last year or the year before?
I think Act of Killing might have been 2 years ago. But this was the follow-up to it.
Right.
Look of Silence is actually available. Right now you could actually put the Hoopla app on a device and watch The Look of Silence with your library card right now. So I definitely recommend doing that.
And Amy's already out on DVD, so you can put that on hold.
Yes, definitely.
Yep.
Speaking of DVD in our collection, are most of these movies available at the library yet?
Most of them are on order. So right now I think Bridge of Spies, Mad Max, and The Martian are all out. The others are all coming soon. They should all be in the catalog. So go ahead and look them up and put a hold on. Join the crowd.
Yeah.
And then quite a few of them are going to be showing in our weekly movie matinees, which if you're not familiar, we show matinees at 1:30 on Thursdays here at Cook Park and Fridays at Aspen Drive. And a lot of good ones coming up, with acting nominees and Best Picture nominees. So in March, we have Creed and Steve Jobs and Brooklyn coming up. And in April, keep your eye out for The Danish Girl Spotlight and The Big Short. Free popcorn and lemonade, so come on in. The schedule is posted in the library. It's on our website. If you have any questions, just call.
I also think it is a great way to kind of jump the line as far as those wait lists goes. A lot of these wait lists for these movies are pretty long, and so if you can kind of just come to a movie matinee and check it off the list that way, it's a great way to do that.
And they're fun. We get good crowds.
Yeah. So it sounds like overall, compared to a lot of years, we actually enjoyed watching the Academy Awards.
Right, yeah.
So
it's always fun.
Yeah, and it is also sort of a good way to just sort of reflect on the year 2015 in movies. So speaking of that, is there any movie that you really would love for people listening to this to check out that maybe weren't discussed a whole lot in the Oscars race?
One that I just saw recently that I thought was really well done was the movie Grandma with Lily Tomlin. She hasn't made a movie in a long time, and she's got the star role in this one. Again, a smaller
Who doesn't
film.
love Lily Tomlin?
I know, but you know what? This is a different role for her, kind of more serious. She does have some good one-liners and stuff like that. She was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actress for it, but no Oscar love. But she just plays the grandmother to an 18-year-old girl, and it's really kind of their relationship during the movie. They're on a quest to raise some money. I won't tell you more than that.
Okay.
But really good. And then I think we agree on a couple of the other ones.
Yeah, I was going to mention, well, for me, like I said, Spotlight was my favorite of the year, but practically tied with it was Ex Machina, which I thought was just a great sci-fi, almost had like a Kubrick kind of feel to it, dealing with AI and It was so well done. Oscar Isaac's in it, who is great in everything he's in. And Alicia Vikander, who won the award last night for The Danish Girl, supporting actress, is also in Ex Machina. Another one that I think we definitely agree on is Love and Mercy, the Brian Wilson biopic.
Yes.
With Paul Dano
Right.
playing the younger Wilson and John Cusack playing the older Wilson. And
both good.
Yeah, and Paul Giamatti playing a jerk manager.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is he actually played that twice this last year because he's also a jerk manager in Straight Outta Compton, which is another.
He's got that down.
He's got it down. Yeah. Hopefully he's not going to be typecast, and that's
Right.
all he's doing from now on. But I also really recommend Straight Outta Compton, actually, too. A really well done movie, especially if you don't actually know a whole lot about sort of the birth of gangsta rap and life in Compton in that very historically important late 80s, early 90s time period. It's a great snapshot of that, actually.
And a great soundtrack album for that, too, which we have here. And then I think we agreed on The Clouds of Sils Maria.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
you
Julia
recommended that
Binoche.
to me,
I
and
did.
and it was a really pleasant surprise
Yeah.
for me.
Juliette Binoche and Kristen Stewart in a surprising role.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got a lot of, I think, critical acclaim for that role.
Maybe breaking out of that Twilight mold.
Right,
a little
yeah, I
bit.
think she's growing up and getting rewarded for her talent. So that was a good movie. I liked it.
And then one that I really liked from last year was called Tangerine. I think a lot of people were talking about it because it was notable that it had been shot completely with iPhone cameras, and you would never tell. It looks very good. But even just as a movie, this is a movie about two transgender prostitutes in the LA area. It all takes place in 24 hours. And it just kind of goes through their day. I won't say a whole lot more than that. And I know that doesn't necessarily sound like the most appealing, a good sell for a lot of people, but it really is a very fine film.
And it did clean up at the Spirit Awards this week. So yeah, it did get awarded there.
That.
So
Okay.
so that's a good reason.
Great. I think we've given people a lot to check out now after we've listed a few of these movies.
Check them out. We have, everything's coming or already here. So
great.
Hopefully you'll get to enjoy a lot of them too.
Well, Becky, I just want to thank you for being on the podcast and letting us know what movies we need to catch up on. So if you do need to catch up on any of these movies, we definitely encourage you to explore the library's collection online. Visit cooklib.org to search our catalog. To read Becky's regular Cinema Club posts, visit Shelf Life, the library's blog, where we blog about books, movies, music, genealogy, and local history. That blog can be found over at shelflife.cooklib.org. Again, the movie matinees that we mentioned earlier are every Thursday at Cook Park Library and Friday at Aspen Drive. They start at 1:30 p.m. and you don't need to register. You can just show up. If you'd like to get in touch with us about anything you've heard so far in this podcast, write to us at webmaster@cooklib.org. Support us by sharing with your friends or leaving us a positive rating on iTunes. We'll be back soon, but until then, keep reading, keep watching, and keep listening.